Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast called So Fucking Tired. Oh, man. No, the show is called Did You Hear About This? But today, I'm pretty fucking tired.
Yeah, we're not changing the name of the show again.
No, too soon? Too soon to rebrand?
You can't do a 2-episode arc and then change the name again.
It's never been done? How do we know it's not going to work better for us?
Touche.
You know what's crazy? We lost no downloads when we changed the name. I thought there would be some kind of hiccup somewhere. Everything stayed completely steady from what I saw.
I mean, it would have been cooler if we would have gained some.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you telling your friends? Really?
I'll tell you what, no, they're not, because I can go on Twitter and search for the name, and I can go on Facebook. No, you're not. No, you're not. We need a street team. Remember those?
Yeah.
Somebody that just run around the streets, throw flyers on the ground. Yeah. Well, they were supposed to hand them to people, but they always just ended up on the ground. We need one of those people.
I don't know that that's effective advertising anymore.
You don't think so? What about billboards?
Billboards? Probably not.
Yeah, it's been a long day of work. It's been a long week. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
You're all,
Not
you
too
got
bad.
energy. You're chipper.
I mean, I'm a little confused. I mean, a show 2 weeks in a row? Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, it's like the old us.
You didn't leave the country?
No.
All right.
Tried. They stopped me at the border.
Oh, okay. There's all that talk about you being a drug mule.
Right, a domestic drug mule, I think I said last week.
Well, you'd be international. Domestic means you wouldn't leave the country.
Is the Bahamas really leaving the country?
Yeah, that's British owned, right?
Was.
Are they independent country now?
I don't know. But everybody spoke perfect English, and there was McDonald's and Wendy's and all sorts of things. I felt like I was just...
Yeah, but there's McDonald's in Russia and in every place else.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, there's fast food everywhere.
How do you say Big Mac in Russian?
I don't know. There was a story I read a while back where during the whole, well, it's still ongoing, but because of the Russian-Ukrainian war, McDonald's did pull their stores out. So they had some generic person move into the store and make knockoff Big Macs and French fries. So I guess there's technically not McDonald's in Russia right now.
All right. I read a headline because I'm trying desperately to avoid political headlines now because it's just getting me too fucking riled.
Good luck.
Yeah. And then there's one that says, Putin just said Americans are the enemy. He just said that the other day. True or not? I don't know. So when you said McDonald's being there, I'm like, shit.
Nah, they pulled out a while back.
Like all the American, there's probably McDonald's, but there's probably other restaurants. There's probably clothing chains, like American companies really probably prospering in Russia. What happens now?
I don't know. I bet you a pair of Levi's is probably still worth the price of a house in Russia. I mean, not a nice house, but a house.
Well, Levi's aren't nice jeans.
They are.
You like Levi's?
Wearing them right now.
Levi's.
569 is my number.
Whatever happened to Lee jeans? You remember them?
I have a pair of them too. I wore them yesterday.
Are they still a company, Lee?
I don't know. I used to wear them all the time because Vanity Fair outlets were here in town. My grandmother actually worked for them.
For the outlets, not for Lee.
Yeah, I guess. But she worked in the denim department. She was responsible for folding and inspecting all denim coming into Vanity Fair.
Oh my gosh. So that's an assembly line job.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them up here. Could you imagine doing that?
Do you know what part of her job was? She had to go through the pockets of the jeans, and if stone-washed jeans,
yeah,
they were literally washed with stones. And sometimes, like, the stones would go into the pockets. She had to remove the stones from the pockets.
That was her gig.
Part of it.
Man, assembly line workers, you guys are the most patient people on the planet. I mean, I'd lose interest within like 5 minutes.
And this area, I mean, not just outlet-wise, I mean, it became the outlet capital of the world for a while, but manufacturing-wise, this was a huge area for knitting mills and like hosiery mills where they would make like silk stockings and stuff like that. And that's kind of where she started.
Take off, hoser.
Hosiery. Eh?
Yeah, I've been here 15 years. Still feels like 2 because I still don't know this area at all.
Yeah. Well, and the history of what it was is nothing like what it currently is. So.
Yeah. Well, that's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Factories, there's like 2 big ones around anymore, but outside of that, it's no longer, I mean, I don't want to say Rust Belt. Rust Belt's more the western part of the state, but definitely not what this part of the state used to be known for.
What's Rust Belt? So the western part of the state is Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So what's the word Rust
Steel
Belt?
City, like where they used to be all huge steel manufacturers and stuff like that.
So now they're all just rusted?
Well, it's dried up. A lot of the factories shut down. Allentown is technically part of the Rust Belt as well. Bethlehem Steel?
Yeah.
No longer a thing. It's now, you can go there and see concerts.
That's where they filmed some of the Transformers car chase scene in the first movie.
Yeah.
They filmed that in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, in the old steel mill.
Yep.
It's where there was a cop. I remember the cop car was a bad guy. And I think he was chasing Bumblebee.
Was this the one with Pete Davidson where he was playing the cop car?
No, like the very first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to protect and sever the cop car scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's right. That was filmed in Bethlehem, and that was the old steelworks.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have like the breaker right there. It's a cool place to go. I mean, they're great. It's like going back in time and seeing like these huge relics. The one club we used to go to, Building 24.
Yeah.
Building 24 was a steel plant or a manufacturing plant, and they still had like some like the old drill presses and stuff in there, and like you'd be in there drinking, seeing a band, and just think like, man, I bet you a lot of people actually died in here.
Yeah, I don't think about that when I'm drinking.
I did,
but I saw those like drill presses, and I was too drunk to even ask what they were there for. I had no idea.
They would have like huge conveyor belts on the ceiling. It was like a pretty cool industrial scene that's now been, converted into clubs and stuff like that.
A lot of big buildings. What else can you be but concert halls?
Pretty much. I can't imagine the acoustics were that good.
Yeah, I doubt.
They were shitty bands anyway, so.
Yeah, look where we are. The best bands don't come to Reading, PA.
No.
All right, well, why don't we kick off the show? Do it like we did last time. I got a story. I got a couple news items that we'll go into with a little bit more beefiness. I don't know, that's a dumb thing to say, beefiness. You get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
Beef. And then we have quick bites.
I smell like beef.
I smell
That's the first thing that popped into my head.
I smell
Is that like the first viral video?
I don't know.
All right, but before we kick off, we usually do fuck-upperies or mailbag. I know we didn't get any mailbag, but I think we have some fuck-upperies.
We do. We have two of them, I know.
I know we have one because you buzzed it in the edit.
We were talking about, I guess, Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds and how Ryan Reynolds had some like really, you look at his filmography and you'd think like, why the fuck is this guy big?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I like that one movie where he was the non-playable character. And I was like, what was it, like The New Guy? I was like, no, it wasn't The New Guy. And you were like, yeah.
Yeah, the new guy.
No, it's Free Guy.
Free guy.
Free Guy is what it was called.
Oh, because it was like arcade game based, where
Exactly.
you get a pinball, you get a free ball, you get a free guy in Mario. Yeah, it's an arcade game.
So
thing.
he was the Free Guy.
That makes sense. I forgot all about it.
I would have called it the Extra Guy.
The extra guy.
He was getting an extra man, an extra life.
Easier to remember.
Well, it's the Free Guy. The other one, you mentioned Mary Lou Henner because of Taxi.
Right.
And I said, why am I thinking of a 1980s gymnast on the cover or on the front of the Wheaties box
With a bob haircut.
with a bob haircut? And that's Mary Lou Retton.
Retton. Yep.
And I thought of it while I was listening to it in my car yesterday when the show went live. I was like, Mary Lou Retton.
As soon as Amy came home, one of the nights she was listening to the show on the way home, she walks in and just goes, Mary Lou Retton. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. You're listening to the show. That's what the name was.
So those are fuck-uppers I caught, but nobody wrote in with the right answer, so.
I love that they all now are like, yeah, that was Mary Lou Stratton or whatever name I made up at the time. I love that we're putting misinformation out there.
Remember how you said, there's probably people driving in their car screaming at their radio?
Yeah.
That was me.
We just make the show for ourselves.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm entertaining myself with nobody else.
I know, man. I felt so stupid listening back because you do the bulk of the editing. I basically do the polishing, and I listen to the whole show anyway as I do it. I'm cracking up. I'm like, this is the funniest show ever. And it's just you and me. Laughing at our own dumb jokes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought I'd kick off with a story that I found kind of interesting. I was watching some videos the other day. This is a ripoff, a complete plagiarism from Bullets and Blockbusters, which is a YouTube channel. I don't know if you ever caught it.
No.
It's a great channel, and it's like, what could have happened if Zack Snyder didn't direct this and somebody else did? What would have happened if Star Wars was made by, somebody else? Like, you know how there was an original script in Star Wars? Like, he'll talk about what that original script was and what some of the
Before the
differences were.
rewrites.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So he did one just the other day on Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was just like, this is fascinating.
Well, if it's anything as good as Hervé Villachez, I'm all for it.
It's not going to be, because that was really good.
Way to sell it, Bill.
Tune out now. Thanks for your download number.
Feel free to come back at the 36-minute mark.
Just go download all our other episodes just so we get stats. We're not a good show. We just need stats. We're trying to be a good show. So maybe this will turn everything around. Maybe you guys will like this. All right. I'm going to read this to you. It's about what the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie could have been.
All right.
All right. If everything kept going the way it was supposed to go.
I like what Raiders of the Lost Ark was. So I'm curious as to what it could have been.
Yeah. I'm always interested in how movies change throughout production. So this is a good story like that. Because a lot of, I'm not going to. Let me just
continue.
Let me just read this to you. So I call this What Almost Happened to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Once upon a time, following the opening of Star Wars, George Lucas took a vacation to Hawaii. Okay, he's hanging out in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Got a buddy comes to see him.
Steven Spielberg. So you know this story. I know that he and Steven Spielberg will go to Hawaii anytime they have a big movie opening up. It's superstition and tradition for them to do so.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. So basically he's saying they were just talking shop. Spielberg mentioned that he had interest in directing a James Bond film. And Lucas said, hey, well, I got this idea that's brewing. So basically, George pitched his idea for Indiana Smith. Indiana Smith. The first name that they gave to Indiana Jones was Indiana Smith. So while working on American Graffiti, George Lucas became bored and started brainstorming new ideas as a form of procrastination. This led to two film concepts: an adaptation of the 1930s Flash Gordon serials, which I guess eventually did come pretty much right after he was thinking about doing this, and an original idea about an archaeologist seeking supernatural artifacts inspired by serials like Zorro. Remember Zorro?
Yeah.
All right, so that was the big influence here. So after completing American Graffiti, Lucas decided to focus on adapting Flash Gordon, believing it had greater potential. When he couldn't secure the rights, he developed his own space opera, you might have heard of it, called Star Wars. Despite this, Lucas kept his archaeologist concept in mind and collaborated with filmmaker Philip Kaufman to develop it. Kaufman suggested using the Ark of the Covenant as the story's central MacGuffin, inspired by a tale from his former dentist who was fascinated by the relic. That's my favorite, when a random dentist mentions something to somebody who thought that was an interesting idea, who mentions it to George Lucas, and now suddenly it's the biggest thing in the world. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the Lost Ark is the central focus. I love it. The dentist never got a nickel for that idea.
No.
You know that. Lucas named the character Indiana after his dog, an Alaskan Malamute.
Yep.
Say that right? Malamute.
You got it.
Right? That was the same dog that inspired Chewbacca.
Yes.
So he really loved this dog. So he had initially wanted a generic American surname, resulting in Indiana Smith. However, Philip Kaufman left the project to work on The Outlaw of Josie Wales for Clint Eastwood, leading Lucas to shelve the project temporarily. Kaufman still appears in the opening credits for his contribution. I think when the ball is rolling, you see the names, and there's Kaufman. All right, so now we got to go back to the beach. There's Georgie and Stevie sitting there on the beach. Spielberg loved the story, even though at the time Kaufman was still committed to it. But he eventually faded out. So Spielberg was now officially brought in. Spielberg suggested changing the character's surname from Smith to Jones to avoid similarities with the film Nevada Smith. You ever see that movie?
Never even heard of it.
Never even heard of it either. Nevada Smith is a fictional character portrayed by Steve McQueen in the 1966 Western film called Nevada Smith.
I've heard of Steve McQueen, but I only know him from Bullet. Well, not only, but I mainly know him from Bullet.
I don't think I've ever seen a Steve McQueen movie all the way through.
No?
Bullet's got that really cool car scene in San Francisco.
Yes.
Which I was in an Uber, and we asked him to do it, and the Uber driver was doing it. He was getting air.
He jumped?
Yes. No. It is terrifying to be in a car that actually gets air on a street in San Francisco.
Robin Hood.
All right, so with a basic plot and a name, they needed a fresh script. Spielberg and Lucas turned to Lawrence Kasdan, impressed by his work on a movie called Continental Divide. You know that name?
Nope.
You don't know Kasdan? Lawrence Kasdan?
Can't say as it rings a bell.
It's all over Empire Strikes Back. He's a Star Wars writer eventually. But at this point, he's brand new to Hollywood, so he gets tapped to create this Raiders of the Lost Ark. The guy must have been like, whoa, I'm brand new, and you're George Lucas and you're Steven Spielberg, and you're asking me to do this. Okay, I'll give it a shot. So the three of them brainstormed for 5 days, after which Kasdan wrote the screenplay. Initial ideas included Indiana Jones being a playboy and a kung fu practitioner. But these were toned down to make the character more relatable. Remember, James Bond was floating in the back of their heads, right?
Sure.
So next, Lucas began shopping the script around Hollywood to find a studio to produce it. Despite the success of Star Wars, Lucas faced significant challenges. Two main reasons led studios to turn him down. First, Lucas proposed a deal where the studio would put up all the money but have zero creative input.
Yeah, everybody loves that idea.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I want all your money and I don't want you to have any say.
No notes. Cash, please.
Yeah. He also wanted to retain control of the sequel rights and licensing rights, a demand that the studios balked at. All right. But second was Spielberg's recent track record. So while Lawrence Kasdan was writing the script for Raiders, Spielberg directed 1941.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't do so well.
You loved it, though.
I loved it. I thought it was great. So Spielberg had gone over schedule and over budget on his previous films as well. So Jaws and Close Encounters being, examples of that.
Jaws was really bad because of the tides and shooting at sea.
And at the end of the day, they were huge hits, but they
Sure.
cost them the studios a lot more money than they expected to lose.
I mean, the longer a movie goes on in production, the more money it costs, the bigger the gamble you're not going to recoup.
Yeah. So that's why they weren't really that keen on going with Spielberg. They're like, yeah, he makes hits, but he goes way over budget. If this is a bomb, we're really going to take a bath.
Yeah.
Despite these challenges, Lucas refused to find another director. Ultimately, Paramount Pictures president Michael Eisner, recognize that name?
I sure do.
Yeah, why?
1990s, he opened MGM Studios for Disney. He was the Disney CEO.
There you go. Paramount Pictures president Michael Eisner entered negotiations due to the strength of the script and the opportunity to work with Lucas and Spielberg. However, Eisner demanded strong penalties if the film went over budget and wanted sequel rights. All right, he wasn't going to totally give them everything they wanted. Lucas agreed as long as he remained involved in producing the movies. All right, so for his part, after a long heart-to-heart with Lucas, Spielberg was determined to come in on time and on budget. He wanted to scrub that bad reputation he was creating for himself. He decided to shoot Raiders quickly, just like the serials that inspired it.
Sure.
All right. Spielberg later reflected on the experience, saying, I learned to like instead of love. If I liked the scene after I shot it, I printed it. I didn't shoot it 17 times until I got the take that I loved. All right.
I can respect that. I mean, even editing this podcast, there's times where it's like, I could give it another pass, but I'm already 3 hours in and it's good enough.
Yeah. I say that to people at work. I'm like, don't strive for perfection.
Yeah.
Good enough is absolutely good enough.
Yeah, you could drive yourself crazy when it comes to artistic output. Sometimes more is just more.
Mm-hmm. Spielberg was given 85 days to shoot Raiders, but he completed in 73. He's like, I'm really
I'll
going to
show you fuckers.
I'm really going to erase his bad rep. Spielberg thought the role should go to Harrison Ford, who had just blown up as Han Solo and had previously been in Lucas's other movie, American Graffiti.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it. Lucas didn't want to do it.
Right. George Lucas didn't want to be seen like Martin Scorsese, who always put the same guys in, like Robert De Niro.
And now Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ah, good point.
Or Judd Apatow. We talked about those directors that only have their troupe of actors.
Yeah, now it's not a rare thing.
No.
Then it was. All right, now we get to something really kind of fun. I like this part. Tom Selleck.
I heard about this.
Oh, yeah?
He was considered for the part.
Yep. Then relatively unknown, auditioned for the role and impressed both Spielberg and Lucas. They felt he embodied the rugged, adventurous spirit they envisioned for Indiana Jones. Selleck was offered the part, but he had just filmed the pilot for Magnum P.I.
I was going to say, all I can hear is...
Copyright strike. CBS, right? Recognizing Selleck. I did it again. Potential. I'm keeping it. Print it. CBS picked up the show for a full series. Selleck was contractually obligated to the TV show, preventing him from taking the Indiana Jones role.
Yeah, I heard that the reason they gave him a full season, I think even a second season, was because like, oh, if Steven Spielberg wants this guy, he's got to be good.
Yep.
So he kind of like used that offer to get him the TV gig.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Despite attempts by Spielberg and Lucas to negotiate with CBS, the network refused to release Selleck from his contract. So after a few auditions with Harrison Ford, he ultimately ended up with the job. This is
You know what probably happened?
Huh.
CBS probably had a fucking psychic that said, this Selleck guy's going places.
Don't let him go with Spielberg and Lucas.
I'm seeing a mustache and I'm seeing success.
Yeah. Here's my favorite part of the entire story. So Tom Selleck didn't get the role because he was, tied to Magna P.I. Ironically, a writer's strike delayed the production of Magna P.I., which would have given Selleck time to shoot Raiders of the Lost Ark anyway.
Wow.
He still could have done it.
Hey, Tom, you know what? There was a guy named Michael J. Fox a few years later that did both Family Ties and Back to the Future. You can do TV and movies. Why don't you fucking suck it up?
Well, did they film this in where are they?
Tanzania.
Yeah, so I guess maybe he really couldn't go back and forth that fast. But that's true. You can do two things at once in Hollywood. Maybe
Sure.
not back then. I wrote here, there's an episode of Magnum P.I. where Tom Selleck mimics Indiana Jones. You could actually see him in action to get the idea what Indiana Jones would have been like if he had gotten the role. The title of the episode is called Raiders of the Lost Art, A-R-T.
That's bad.
But you really see him jumping around. And
I've seen a photo, and who knows, it could have been photoshopped, but I've seen Tom Selleck wearing the fedora and a leather jacket.
Yeah, it's from this episode.
It's from that episode?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was from like a screen test or something, but it never even got that far for him having the role.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I could be wrong. Maybe you did see a screen test, and I'm only thinking of the show where
I don't know. I can't believe what I see on the internet anymore.
I enjoyed it. I was watching clips. I was like, damn, he would have been a good Indiana Jones.
I think he was a good actor. I guess is a good actor. I don't watch Blue Bloods or where the fuck it is.
I didn't even know he was still on TV.
Yeah, he's on one of those network things that parents watch.
Yep, the ones who haven't cut the cord. Let's watch CSI.
NCIS.
SWAT.
CSI.
FBI.
Chicago Blue. Chicago Hope. Chicago Fire.
Man, I don't even know what's on those channels.
2020. Dateline. I'm going to watch my programs.
There's probably a Dragnet, a Hawaii Five-0.
There was a Hawaii Five-0 remake.
Jeez, I'm not even a psychic.
Probably
Hire me.
Probably Miami Vice.
Probably, yeah. Boy, that's got to be the easiest job, coming up with shows for network TV. Like anything works now.
Yeah.
All right, where was I? Amy Irving. You know who that is?
It kind of rings a bell, but I can't say that I would know her.
I only know her from the movie with Sissy Spacek, Carrie.
She was the other girl.
She wasn't the mean other girl.
Oh.
That was Nancy Allen, who was in RoboCop.
Yes.
But she was kind of the one that had a heart for Carrie.
Okay.
So Amy Irving, who was dating Spielberg at the time, was going to get the role of Marion. But she got caught having an affair with Willie Nelson. He gets mentioned twice. She got caught having an affair with Willie Nelson after filming Honeysuckle Rose. So Spielberg dumped her and spotted Karen Allen in National Lampoon's Animal House.
Yes.
So he's like, that's the girl. We want her. Let's go get her. Marion was named after Kasdan's grandmother, Marion, and the last name was after a street Kasdan would pass every day on his way to work, Ravenhood Court. Like, that's just where you get the ideas sometimes. You're just driving to work. You're like, what do I got to name this character?
Marion Ravenwood.
Yeah. Could have been Marion MLK Boulevard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could have been.
It says here, Sala, right?
Sala, yeah.
Sala was first offered to Danny DeVito.
That would have been. I love Danny DeVito, but Rhys Davies was good.
Yeah, he was great, but Danny DeVito could have. Yeah, he could have worked.
Remember War of the Roses, where Danny DeVito played the divorce lawyer? He was fantastic.
I loved War of the Roses. I loved Romancing the Stone, and I loved Jewel of the Nile. The three of them in a movie together was great.
I love Danny DeVito in anything, really. And the shit he's doing now on Always Sunny, just icing on the cake.
Well, it said he couldn't do it because he was filming Taxi, but then there's rumors that also say he wanted too much money.
I could see that.
Yeah. Was he such a big star at Taxi? He might have been at that time.
I don't know.
Remember last episode we were trying to name the people from Taxi?
Yeah.
Did we name Danny DeVito? Hopefully we
I
didn't
did.
forget
That's
him.
where I started off.
Good.
Danny DeVito and Tony Danza were in my top 2.
We missed the main character.
Yeah.
What's his name? Judd Hirsch.
Judd Hirsch, who just died 2 years ago.
And who's the other guy? The guy who was on the
boss?
The Celebrity Rehab. He was in Grease.
Oh.
What was his name? Jeff something?
I don't recall. I can picture him. I think he passed away now, too.
Maybe it was Jeff Retton.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that was it. I don't even know if it was Jeff.
Jeff? I think it was Jeff.
All right.
He looks like a Jeff.
Yeah.
No, Jeff, no, it's the other guy.
All right, where were we? The story for Raiders of the Lost Ark came back as a budget buster. So once the script was done, he's like, here you go, take a read. And they read through it and went, holy shit, this is going to cost us a lot of money. So a lot of things were cut out. The guy whose face melted, Toht, T-O-H-T,
yes.
Toht, he was supposed to have a robotic arm that was a machine gun and could shoot bullets out of his fingers.
I'm kind of glad he didn't.
Yeah, I think that was probably like, that's what James Bond villains would be like. Let's do that. Yeah, they scrapped that. There was supposed to be a scene where Indy goes to Shanghai to retrieve part of the headpiece of the Staff of Ra. So in the original, there was a two-piece.
Right.
I said a two-piece piece, but
there were 2 pieces of the Staff of Ra.
Yeah, so the way they pulled that off in the movie is the one guy burned it into his hand.
But they only had the front of it.
And he only had the front of it.
He didn't have the right dimensions. The Nazis were taking in the wrong place.
So in the original story, there were 2 pieces. You had to get both of them.
Oh, so regardless of the burnt on Toth's hand, there was no back. The back would have been in Shanghai.
Right.
Well, Temple of Doom started off in Shanghai.
Well, let's talk about that.
Club Obi-Wan.
So before he can steal it in the original movie, right, before he can steal that piece in Shanghai, there's a big action scene where a golden gong rolls through the location.
Like Club Obi-Wan.
And Indy hides behind it to escape.
When the machine guns were going,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So a lot of what didn't make it into the first movie, we're finding out, really got rolled into the second movie.
Nothing goes to waste.
The original ending of the film had some bad guys surviving the opening of the Ark, right?
Oh.
So we remember everybody's faces melted or something happened. But the original ending of the film had a chase through mine carts. So evidently, in the ending of the original movie, Indy gets the Ark. It must not have been like the giant thing it ended up being, because he escapes with it on mine carts.
Did it then still end up in a government warehouse, never to be seen again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that
bureaucracy still won.
This was supposed to be the big set piece for the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Too expensive to do, so they had to write it out, but they kept it in their heads and put it in the Temple of Doom.
A lot of mine carts in Temple of Doom.
Another scene where he was in a plane and he comes running to the front and sees that nobody's there. The pilots had jumped out. Does this sound familiar?
Sure does.
Yep. So he jumps out of the plane in a raft, just like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But this time he was supposed to do it without the Willie, without the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was another thing that just got
very
pushed.
Divisive actress, Willie. Or very divisive role, I should say.
Screamed the whole time.
Yeah. She was not Karen Allen.
People didn't like her at all. I remember not minding her, but I know people were like, I hate Willie. I hate her. I didn't mind her.
I don't think I care for Karen Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't much care for you either.
That's fair.
What else do I got here? There was supposed to be a camel chase. That didn't make it into the first movie.
You know, in Saudi Arabia, they race camels the way we race horses here.
That must be a bumpy ride.
Oh.
All right, I'm just about done here. I'll just give you the last few things here. Stuntman Terry Richards spent weeks training for his sword fight. We talked about this on the show before. Everybody was sick. Everybody had like dysentery and food poisoning.
Yes.
And this guy's like, all right, I've been training for this sword fight. Been training all week. Let's go do it. And then Harrison Ford shows up on the set. He's like, dudes, I'm so sick. Why don't I just shoot the guy? And that's the famous scene where he just goes, fucking shoots the swordsman. But that poor, guy had been training for weeks. And then he shows up on the day of the set like, I can't wait for my big part. It's like, swing the sword a couple times and then he's going to shoot. You're wrapping it up. We're fucking tired. This is a long damn movie shoot. And it's hot. It's 100 degrees. So they were, that's just brutal. After the filming was done, George's wife, Marcia, who edited Star Wars, complained that there was no emotional closure between Indy and Marion since it was just supposed to end with Indy giving the Ark to the U.S. government.
Right.
So they went back and they reshot that final scene of Indy and Marion walking down the stairs. That came from George Lucas's wife saying, you got to put some kind of closure in there.
Right.
Yeah. That's about all of it. But I just thought it was fascinating. It's like, we're going to make this movie. We have all these ideas. Let's just use half of this on the next movie. I'm always fascinated by that when bands, Van Halen was big for this too. Like they'd write like 50 songs for their first album. Their second album would get the songs that didn't make it on the first album. But I'm always thinking, by the time you get to your second album, aren't you kind of in a different headspace? Aren't you writing different kinds of music?
It depends how quickly and how much time's passing between your first album and your second album.
I guess. But couldn't they have written something brand new? Weird to me that they're like, we need to work these great ideas into the next movie. Let the movie dictate what scenes happen, but they kind of let Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, let it go differently because they're working in scenes and trying to make the plot work around them. That's weird.
I'm just trying to digest the story. I mean, I knew some of it. I didn't know all of it, but I will say, I think my initial reaction is I'm glad that they didn't try and cram all of this into the first movie.
Yeah, it would have been too much.
Yeah, we just kind of said sometimes more is more. And these were good ideas. They were salvageable.
Yeah. There's one other thing I didn't put in my notes, but I remember there was a scene where, you remember how Indiana Jones somehow ended up on the submarine, but they never really talked about?
Yeah.
So there's a deleted scene where you actually see Harrison Ford riding on the telescope of the submarine that's always above water as it's going from point A to point B. He's just hanging there as the thing sails all the way to point B. Spielberg said it looked so stupid, he pulled it out. He's like, I hope nobody asks how he got there.
I mean, that's fine, but like, how often would a submarine cruise at surface speed where the periscope would actually work?
I don't know. I thought that same thing. I'm like, do they always do that? No, it's not right.
No, and I think
sometimes they go underwater all the way. Sure.
I think taking it out is no worse than it would have been keeping it in. Keeping it in would have had me being like, well, that was dumb.
That was dumb. Yeah. There was nothing dumb about Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No.
That would have been dumb.
Yeah.
It almost looked slapstick. Like if you watch the deleted scene on YouTube and think about the tune from Benny Hill, that would have been the right music for the scene.
What was the name of the rival archaeologist that worked for the Nazis? I can't think of it.
Belloc.
So Belloc, goddamn that actor. The way he delivered his lines with that fly flying right into his mouth.
That's great.
You got to give that guy credit.
I remember seeing that as a kid.
I remember too. I was like, did that just happen?
How did they not reshoot that? I mean,
right.
You know, that cavern that they were in is the same cavern that Obi-Wan Kenobi meets Luke and R2-D2.
The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
When they go into the castle carved out of the cliffs.
Yeah.
That's Petra. That's a real life place.
Oh, really?
I thought that this happened in that same area, but I could be way off.
Wait, the face of that mountainside that looked like that's real?
That's real.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's one of the 8 wonders of the ancient world.
I only know about Niagara Falls and
that's the modern world.
Oh, right. I wasn't very good at school.
That's okay.
Well, hopefully you found that kind of interesting. We learned a little bit more about one of our favorite movies.
I don't mind if they kept a hold of those ideas and implemented them. And I want to believe that they didn't go out of their way to write these things into the story. I think they lent themselves well to the story of Temple of Doom.
I don't know. I think they had to write around it.
I mean, I don't mind that they started off in Shanghai. That's how they found Short Round.
That's true. Oh, here's something I didn't put down that I remember learning somewhere. Remember Indy's wearing that white suit, the white tux.
Yeah, the jacket.
It's the same thing that James Bond wore in that one. Which one was it where Sean Connery was dressed in that white tux?
Dr. No?
I think so. Yeah, so even that was homage to James Bond.
Okay.
I never thought of Raiders of the Lost Ark and James Bond even being like
no,
at all
I never
similar.
had either. No. What would you think about Harrison Ford or Indiana Jones rather being a coxman and a kung fu expert?
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked that.
No. He needs to be an archaeologist. The whole idea was he was an archaeologist.
And he's fallible. Like, he makes mistakes and has to figure his way out of them.
He's kind of the guy that he does get his ass beat.
Yeah.
And then he works around it.
That's the thing. He always finds a way to get out of trouble.
Yeah.
He's smart that way, but he's always in trouble.
He's not the toughest guy. Even when he called Bullock out when he had the rocket launcher, he was going to blow up the Ark.
Yeah.
He called his bluff, and he was like, "Nah, fuck, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. I'll come down.
All right, I'm a prisoner again."
That was pretty lame.
Change the samples.
They switch the samples.
They switch the samples.
They switch the samples.
Yeah, that was pretty lame. All right, you got me. That was lazy writing at that point.
Well,
they were all done. They were on day 67. They were like, we're so
We got
almost
4
done.
more days, assholes. And cut, and it's gonna have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, if he won everything so handedly, he wouldn't be that interesting.
No,
He's kind of got the it's the opposite of Superman, right? Superman is great at everything. I don't read a lot of Superman comics, but it's like, if I did, what were the things that he was facing? Because he should win almost 99% of the time with no issue.
right.
But I'm trying to think of like Superman adventures from the comics that he couldn't handle.
I feel like it always came down to kryptonite.
It
It's
has
like,
to. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You have one weakness.
Every episode probably had kryptonite. I did not read a lot of Superman.
No, I didn't either.
I guess I'm mostly familiar with Superman. And DC, all of DC I didn't read a lot of.
I read a lot of Batman,
Yeah.
but he's always like crippled by his history and the tragedy and the loss of his parents. It was always an internal struggle with Batman.
Really gotta get over that.
I know. Yeah, you do some work, man.
All right, well, let's move on to some other stories. You sent this one over. I laughed at this one.
What was this?
Harold Ramis bailed on Galaxy Quest once Tim Allen was cast.
Yeah. We're getting real Tim Allen heavy here, 2 weeks in a row.
We talk about what we love. we love Tim Allen. Harold Ramis, a legendary comedy director, was initially attached to direct Galaxy Quest, which is often described as a mix between Three Amigos and Star Trek.
I love this movie.
I do too. The script, written by David Howard and Robert Gordon, went through several casting considerations for the lead role of Jason Nesmith. I didn't know that was his name.
I didn't either.
Jason Nesmith.
Sounds like it
Wasn't
should
he
be a
one of the-
monkey.
Yeah, wasn't he one of the monkeys?
That's David.
No, it's
Peter.
Peter. No, that's Peter Tork.
Isn't Dave?
Sister Michelle loves the monkeys.
She would be
She's
screaming right now.
I know who it is, and I'm not going to say it just to make her nuts. Ramis wanted to cast a serious A-list actor like Kevin Kline, Steve Martin, or Alec Baldwin. However, all these actors turned down the role. DreamWorks, the studio behind the film, suggested Tim Allen, known for his role in Home Improvement.
It's Michael Nesmith.
Yeah. I'll still get the email from
I know.
Michelle.
I know.
Ramis was not enthusiastic about this choice and eventually decided to leave the project. He left the project over Tim Allen. Official reports at the time claimed Ramis was taking a break, but producer Mark Johnson confirmed that the casting issue led to Ramis's departure. I would have liked to have seen him directed. He does great stuff. He could have done a good Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, was Tim Allen that divisive?
He hated him. He hated him with a passion. I can't stand that man. No, I'm making
But
shit
there's
up.
no real reason quoted here, though, that I saw.
Oh, yeah, it says here he gave him gonorrhea.
He fucked his wife.
Ramis reportedly had a vision for the film that leaned more towards the comedy style of Spaceballs. That wouldn't have worked.
No.
He preferred an action star who could be funny rather than a comedian who could handle action, possibly referring to Baldwin. But didn't they say Steve Martin was considered? He's not an action star.
Maybe only considered because it was so inspired by Three Amigos.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's what it... Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Ramis had guidelines that would have prevented Sigourney Weaver from playing Gwen DeMarco, as he did not want any actors who had previously done sci-fi films. Weaver countered this by pointing out that those experienced in sci-fi understand what is funny about the genre. So after Ramis left, the film proceeded with Tim Allen in the lead role. Ramis later acknowledged that he was wrong, expressing admiration for Allen's performance in the finished product. This is another great example of how things start one way They got to go through all sorts of red tape, and you get
Yep.
something else. Sometimes it's a turkey, and sometimes it comes out just fine, like Galaxy Quest did.
And Tim Allen or not, whatever, it could have still been a good movie. I think Sigourney Weaver was a huge part of that movie for me.
Could Alec Baldwin have worked?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Because he wasn't doing funny stuff then.
No, like I'm thinking back then he was doing.
Submarine movies.
Yeah, well, he was in Hunt for Red October, The Phantom.
No,
Or
he wasn't in that.
Not
He was in The Shadow.
The Shadow. Right.
The Phantom. Remember?
I do
Billy
remember
Zane was
Billy
the
Zane was in The Phantom. You're right. I meant The Shadow. Who knows what lurks in the hearts of men?
I never saw that.
No?
No. Did you?
Yes, I did. So I don't know. I don't think it would have been as good.
Trying to think of what other Alec Baldwin movies. What got him so famous?
Beetlejuice.
Oh, right.
Alec Baldwin.
Gary?
He's my hero.
All right, here's my next story. Did you know about the Crow reboot coming out?
I think we may have talked about this.
Did we?
Maybe.
Well, the Crow, the previous Crow reboot writer, right? He's fallen off the
It was called
project.
Crow Resurrection at one point.
I don't know.
I
There's
forget.
there's like 3 other Crow sequels that are all dog shit.
Yeah.
So let me just read this to you. The upcoming reboot of The Crow has been in development for over 15 years. The film is
That's always a good sign.
The film is set to release on August 23rd and is directed by Rupert Sanders with a hard R rating due to its violent content. Screenwriter Cliff Dorfman, who wrote drafts for the film in 2012 and 2014, okay, he wrote the old versions that have turned over so many times that he's not even a credited writer in this movie anymore.
Oh, Dorfman.
Oh, Dorfman. He has publicly criticized the final product. On his social media, Dorfman called the reboot horrible and unwatchable, advising people not to waste their money on it.
It could be, or it could be sour grapes.
Bill Skarsgård stars as Eric Draven,
Draven, I think.
and Skarsgård is the guy who plays Pennywise.
Pennywise,
Yeah.
yes.
And it says here he plays the role originally portrayed by Brandon Lee in 1994. The film also features FKA Twigs.
That's a name.
That's a name. We're just doing letters now. We're just doing acronyms. FKA Twigs as Shelley Webster, and also stars Danny Houston. I don't know if you know who he is. You've seen him in things. The story follows soulmates Eric Draven. Did I do it again? Draven.
I think Draven.
I'm really wanting to call him Draven.
Do it. Who the fuck cares? Nobody's going to watch this bullshit.
The story follows soulmates Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, who were brutally murdered. Fun. Draven is given a chance to save his true love by sacrificing himself and seeking revenge on their killers, traversing the realms of the living and the dead. The 1994's original lasting impact is heavily tied to Brandon Lee, whose performance and tragic death during filming have given the film a haunted legacy. The original's noir photography by Darius Walski and direction by Alex Proyas created an atmosphere that the reboot may struggle to replicate.
Yeah.
Now, I saw the trailer, and no, it doesn't look like it's got the style of the first movie.
Does it look like it's trying to have the style?
Not necessarily.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's dark, it's violent. It looks more modern than the 90s version.
No shit.
And it didn't look terrible. I got to admit, it did not look, it didn't look like something I wanted to go see because it looks tropey.
Yeah.
But as far as like saying that it's horrible and unwatchable, maybe it's sour grapes with this guy who,
Yeah, Dorfman's just got to stick up his ass because he's not getting writing credits for it.
But I got to say, were you looking for another Crow movie?
No.
Is anybody?
There was Crow, The Crow 2, City of Angels.
I don't know, man. Yeah, you're going to.
Yeah, it was.
They were like straight to video.
This was like my high school days.
Yeah.
The Crow soundtrack, and we did this on our soundtrack, best soundtracks
Yeah.
episode. That was in my car CD player, probably most of my junior and senior year of high school.
Yeah, it's great. Great great soundtrack. And I loved that movie, man. I loved it like everybody did. But when those sequels came out, I was just like, this looks terrible. This looks like just nonsense. I don't know how I knew it wasn't good, but I didn't see any of them. Here's my next story. It's called Seth Rogen on choosing his Hollywood battles and why movies will never go away. He says, that's pretty good. People still go to museums. That's okay. I got to read this. I mean, I was like, what the fuck is he
Very
talking?
insightful. I thought you gave up the weed, Seth.
Let's see where he's going with this one. Seth Rogen has gotten into TV in a big way. As star and EP of Apple TV Plus's Platonic, which I've never seen, executive producer of Prime Video's The Boys franchise.
Yeah.
I love The Boys. Animated series like Invincible, which I don't watch, but some people like it. And Sausage Party Foodtopia. What's that?
Sausage Party was that movie he was in.
So he's making a show called Foodtopia?
I guess. I mean, that movie was pretty fucking offensive across the board.
That was a dirty movie.
Filthy.
I'm going to watch it again.
I tried.
Really?
Yeah, it's not great.
It was. I remember thinking, this isn't pulling it off like World Police. What was that?
Team America,
Team
World
America
Police,
pulled it
love
off.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not South Park good. I mean, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they were fucking nailing it, and I felt that Sausage Party was trying too hard.
Yeah, I don't remember it. But he's still bullish. We're talking about Seth Rogen. He's still bullish on film. He says, I think people still like movies, he tells Variety. Last year, lots of movies did very well. I think if movies were going to go away, they would have gone away a long time ago. So we've been talking a lot about this. Like, what's going on with movies? Are people that into it, or are people more into TV? So it was just interesting to get his perspective on it. It says, Rogen is passionate about this point. He says, paintings are still around. People still go to museums. There's things flashier or more interesting than oil on canvas, but people still flock from all over the world, enough to keep museums open. Not a ton of people have to like movies to keep movies going. It's always been seen as a very small percentage of the population that actually goes and sees movies. I don't know, man. What Rogen does see, and what the studio will address, which is a new upcoming show he's doing, is the terror he's seeing in the industry these days. He says it's about people he's talking about the studio, it's about people who are really struggling to find their way in this environment. I would say the most common trait we see among people who work on the executive side of things is sheer panic, a true sense that at any moment it could all come crashing down for them personally, because it's 100% true. We've seen it. We've seen people come and go. We pitch shows to people. This show, we pitched it to a place, and then like that, literally between the time we pitched it and the next day, the person we pitched it to was fired.
Yeah.
So as for TV, he says, we've always been somewhat agnostic to who was giving us the money, he says. Even with television, I'm always explaining to the slightly younger people that I work with that when I was young, TV and movies were not at the same level. When we were doing Freaks and Geeks, all we wanted to do was be in the movies.
Yeah.
When we were making 40-Year-Old Virgin and stuff, it was like movies. I got to say it like him. It was like,
it was like,
couldn't edit those out for me and stuff. It was like movies were up here and TV was down there, man. And now, now I'm just improvising. He didn't say, man. I'm just going to throw it in because I can't do as good an impression as you. I should have you read this. No, it's not the case. Colin Farrell's on TV. Robert Downey Jr.'s on a TV show. Everything is different. So Rogen admits it's a bit harder making the kind of mid-budget movies he and his production partner, Evan Goldberg, make these days. But that's where TV comes in handy. He says, we can still also make movies. I'm sure it'll be back in a few years. We just made a deal with Universal. They're very incentivized to make theatrical films. So that's his overview.
I was going to say, this is a guy that knows both sides of it. I mean, he started off on Freaks and Geeks. He's done the Judd Apatow movies for how long?
Yeah.
I think Pineapple Express may have been one of the last true comedy movies that I went to the theater to see.
So you trust his judgment?
Yeah,
I hope he's right.
I think he's pretty much grounded. And I like what he said there, too. Like, the whole panic of Hollywood, like, a lot of the stuff even we talk about here, it's like, you know, oh, we're not hitting these numbers and we're not doing that. Only fucking studios care about numbers.
Well, that's what he was saying. The
Yeah.
studio execs are scared to death they're going to lose their job tomorrow. Like,
And
everything
they-
is in flux for them.
And they do. And we talk so much on here about how the industry is changing.
Yeah.
And how the strike's going to change everything and how this and how that. And yeah, it's right, but it's not changing the medium, it's changing the business of the medium.
I found this story kind of interesting because I'm always looking for a new movie, but everything is TV shows. I'm like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to invest 8 episodes. Every episode is an hour long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the hour and a half, 2 hour movie, and there's just not a ton of them. I end up going on Tubi and watching old shit. Man, I watched something the other
Best
day.
little warehouse in Texas.
Yeah, that's an example. I watched one yesterday, 2 days ago, called Brain Damage. It was an old 80s horror movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I think I may have.
Oh my God, that was brutally just violent, pornographic. I mean, the shit we used to get away with in the 80s.
Was this like 85, 86?
Yeah, I think it was 88.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It was made by the people that made Basket Case.
Yeah. Was there, like, on the soundtrack, did they have, like, Twisted Sister and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean,
I think I've seen this. Yeah.
it sounded like New York, old metal.
Yeah.
Amy said the same thing. She goes, "Oh, I've seen it too. The monster in the movie is like a phallic, alien."
Yeah. Okay. I've seen this.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, here, I got your horror movie watch list for you guys. Go watch Brain Damage. When you're just about to puke, go watch, we were talking about Peter Jackson last week. Go watch his 2 horror movies. I mean, they are just disturbing beyond all. Evil Dead wasn't as bad as these movies.
No.
Ugh. You ready for some quick bites? Coming to
Yeah.
that part of
Let's
the show?
wrap this up, man.
All right, I got 4 of them for you. We talked about the guy who's going to be He-Man in the next movie, the next He-Man live-action movie that they're working on.
Something with a G.
I've already forgotten that weird name.
Okay. Yeah. I do remember.
You almost pulled it out. I could see you going to that place in your head.
Gilsleen?
Guillotine. You got it.
Okay.
Well, have you heard who Skeletor is being played by?
Ricardo Montalban.
Hervé Villachez. What's his name?
He killed himself in 1997.
Hervé Villachez. Sacha Baron Cohen.
No.
Yeah, that's what it says. He'd be a great Skeletor.
Very nice.
He can be weird. He can be kind of,
He can be a serious actor. I'm sure. But is that, like, I don't know.
Skeletor is a weird character. You need a weird actor to be able to play Skeletor.
What was Skeletor's, like, end goal? Just to kill He-Man?
He have a very big testicles.
He wanted the Master Sword?
I guess. I know the toys, you could take the swords and stick them together. There was a storyline in the toys. Like if you looked at the back and followed the little comic book they gave you, there's something about the 2 swords that meshed together. The cartoon never dealt with that.
Like, I don't know what his end goal was.
Actually, I don't either.
He wanted to, like, this was like my thing when I was a kid. And I can't even tell you what the driving force was behind the villain.
What was Cobra Commander's end goal? What was Destro's end goal?
World domination!
What was Megatron's end goal?
He wanted the Allspark.
Yeah, I think that's actually what Skeletor wanted.
The Allspark?
Yeah, they were all after the Allspark.
I guess it's always just power. That's what people want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back in the day, there wasn't a lot of motivation for the bad guys. They were just bad guys.
Why do you think Skeletor... Yeah. What's his character? He's bad. Oh,
Bad.
okay. What makes you say Skeletor was weird?
It's just a weird kind of face, says weird things.
His face is a skull.
It's a weird face. I guess you're right. You don't need a weird-faced actor to play Skeletor. There's things called makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CGI. Sometimes too much of it.
I don't know. I think Sacha, whatever his name is,
Sacha Baron Cohen?
is great. So to get a good actor like him in He-Man might give this thing some life.
Are we going to have Beastman? Are we going to have Merman?
Oh, we better.
Lockjaw?
Better not have Orko. I don't like Orko.
Orko's going to be in there. I already saw like some CGI stuff of Orko.
Let's go 1 for 1 on He-Man characters. See who loses first.
Okay.
All right. You just named a bunch. I'll go Mechanic.
Man-at-Arms.
Fuck, that was my next one. Battle Cat. Uh-oh.
Oh, you're going into fucking
I'm
like
already getting-
animals? Jesus Christ. Hordak.
Oh, what was the guy with the bird wings?
Hawkman.
It wasn't Hawkman.
No, I can picture him now.
Stratos or Stratos?
Stratos. That's what it was.
All right.
The Leech.
I don't remember the Leech.
He was green. You could push his back. He'd stick to the window.
What?
Yeah.
How about Manny Faces?
Man-E Faces. That was a good one. Cyclops.
Was his name Cyclops?
Maybe that was Man-E Faces.
I remember him. You'd turn his eye.
Yeah. No, it was Cyclops. It was definitely Cyclops. Green.
And he had different eyes or something? So he was a Manny Faces ripoff because he was just the eyes where Manny Faces was.
You twist the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Did you say Hordak?
I said
I
Hordak.
thought you did.
Leech Man was part of, or Leech was part of Hordak's horde.
I liked Moss Man because he was exactly the same as Beast Man, just with a different fuzzy coating.
Well, you just named 2. All right. Skunkor.
Damn. I'm already stumped. Remember there was a guy with a big fist?
Yep. I had him.
What's his name? Ram Man?
No, Ram Man was one, though.
Not the fist guy. Right. He was a...
You pushed him down and he would spring up.
Look, this fight is still going. What do you got?
I'll go with Orko. Can I say Orko? You already said Orko. I'll go someplace else. Evelyn?
Evil Lynn. Shit. I'm coming to the end. I'm going to have to go into the box in the back room there and look at my old kids' toys. Boy, I'm really blanking. Well, for the sake of time, I'm going to give it to you.
All right.
Who'd I miss?
Prince Adam?
They never made a toy of him, did they?
Sure, I had Prince Adam.
Really?
There was a guy named Spydor.
Nope.
There was...
Did we say Mechaneck?
You said Megan. That was your first one.
All right. You said Trapjaw. I liked him.
Trapjaw was good.
They all had gimmicks. Like Skunkor, I kind of remember he smelled.
Stank.
There was one you could press his head. He was like a lizard-faced guy, and he could squirt.
Yes.
What was his name?
I'm going to say Reptor.
Sure.
I don't know for sure. Could be.
It probably was. That sounds exactly like the name they would use. So there's a rumor going out there that Marvel is going to make a Disney Plus show about Vision. Remember Vision just kind of flew off at the end of...
The White Vision.
The White Vision.
Yes.
Vanished. Another one of those hanging threads.
He is the drop of Venom symbiote at the end of the extra credit scene.
I was surprised that this just came out because they're... who knows how true any of this is. But, MCU's going to 2 TV shows and 2 movies a year. So they have to be really picky on what they use. And
because Bob Iger came back and said, let's tighten this shit up.
Yeah. So if you had to make one TV show next year, would you go back to the Vision? You think people remember the Vision, care about the Vision?
I would go to the Vision before I went to Agatha All Along.
Oh, I know, man. When's that come out? Any month now.
Yeah, probably September.
Watch it be great.
Could be.
So it says the WandaVision fall will star Paul Bettany as the synthezoid, and be showrun by Picard's Terry Mattal. I never watched Picard.
No, that was an Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
I don't have Paramount Plus.
People say that's a good show, though. All right, here's another story. Marvel eyes Sean Levy to direct next Avengers movie. The project was once going to be Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, but has been reconceived. So, who is Sean Levy?
Sean Levy did Deadpool?
He's doing the new Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of the Ryan Reynolds things. He did Free Guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did.
He did the Atom Project, which I don't remember anything about.
No, I don't either.
So they must really love this Wolverine and Deadpool movie to be like, all right, we already know who's going to do the
We're
next
giving the next one to him. Yeah. Well, it's not, is it? And it used to be the Kang Dynasty. Now they're just calling it Avengers 5, right?
Yeah, I don't think they know exactly what
They
they're
don't know.
gonna do.
Yeah, there's no subtitle yet. All right.
I wonder if they're still doing Secret Wars.
Secret Wars was the one with the aliens, right?
Wasn't that Battle World or something? I think that was part of the whole... No, I don't know.
That's with the Skrulls?
Maybe it was, yeah. Right, because Secret Invasion came out. That had the Skrulls. Secret Wars...
I thought it was a continuation of that.
I don't know.
Then there was Armor Wars coming out with all the different Iron Man armors.
Yeah, do you think that's still going to go?
I don't know.
Supposedly that Lionheart show is still set to go. Did you even remember there was a female Iron Man introduced in one of the Wakanda movies?
Yeah, kind of.
Like, clearly nobody was clamoring for it, or they'd have made this sooner. So what makes them think that this is going to work years and years later?
I mean, I guess my concern there would be how could Disney come out with that and then not just have it be viewed as another woke thing after She-Hulk?
Oh, yeah, that She-Hulk story. Oof.
Yeah. Troll the trolls.
What are they talking about? Go listen to the other episodes. All right, here's my last quick bite. Now, this one's not even like classic pop culture, which is usually what we talk about. This one just blows me away, this story. I don't know if you know anything about Baby Reindeer.
People at work talk about Baby Reindeer. It was a Netflix show based on a true story and really fucking disturbing.
Yeah. Great show.
And they talk about it, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I wouldn't watch that. But continue.
It's really good.
You've watched it.
I have. I have. And it's basically Misery.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's just done differently. The characters are great. And the woman who plays the stalker is awesome. Just awesome. She's so fucking bizarre.
But no Kathy Bates.
Different, but just as crazy.
Okay.
But like, anytime I see this woman on screen, the actress, I like get angry and like freaked out because she did such a good job that I think she's really that
That's
crazy in
her.
real life.
Yeah.
So what happened is when the show comes on, the very first thing it says is based on a true story.
Which can really take liberties with the true story.
Evidently, it didn't say this is based on, loosely based on a true story or elements of this. Nothing. It's based on a true story.
Sure.
So right away, somehow people figured out who this woman was. So
In real life.
In real life. So this guy, I guess his name is, let me look at it, Richard Gadd. Richard Gadd is I think he's a Scottish comedian, put this movie together. It's his baby, it's his vision, and it's great. And now this guy should be a star and everything because he made such a great thing, and hopefully his Hollywood career goes. And then, but somebody outed, the person that this was based on. Yeah. I watched an episode online of Pierce Morgan Uncensored. I don't know if you ever see that show.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but he brought her on. So he must have been the first to be like, oh, she's kind of been outed. Let's bring her on and exploit her. So I watched
That sounds like Pierce Morgan.
Totally. Sure. Ratings. Internet ratings, because it's an internet show. So he has her on and he's grilling her like, are you really this person? Did you do these things? Did you not do these things? And she's just as bizarre in real life as this actor, the character that the woman portrays in the movie.
Well, if they're stalking and Misery-esque things, wouldn't there have to be court records? Didn't it go that far?
It's not, yeah. Let me read.
Okay.
Now we get to why I brought this up. So Baby Reindeer's alleged real Martha, that's the woman's name, right, sues Netflix demanding at least $170 million in damages. Netflix says, we intend to defend this matter vigorously and to stand by Richard Gadd's right to tell his story. The Scottish woman who claims to be the inspiration for Richard Gadd's hit Netflix Baby Reindeer has sued the streamer seeking $170 million. Okay, I'm repeating myself. Fiona Harvey has publicly said that the character of Martha in Baby Reindeer, played by Jessica Gunning, that's the actress that I see and go, oh, I hate you.
Visceral reaction.
Oh, I know. Like, she might be she might be the next Care Bear sequel and like the warmest person, and I'm still going to hate her.
Clearly a fantastic actress to make you have such a reaction.
Yeah. It was so good. Suing Netflix for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, and violations of her right of publicity. I don't even know what happened.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah,
and here's the thing. If you saw her on Piers Morgan and he asked her, is this you? It sounded like she wasn't saying yes.
She was bizarre, like the way that she was answering it. Well, maybe, like, I don't know.
But now she's claiming in court that it is her because the do-re-mi.
Do-re-mi, yeah. But if it's really her, the stuff that she did in the show, or at least what the show portrays, she's nuts. So
was it criminal activity that she should be charged?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And she has been.
Oh, she has been. So there is court records.
There must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you got me wondering how this is
even fucking bizarre.
Questionable.
Right.
I don't know. What a train wreck this whole thing is. But it's such a great show. And then this woman's like, I need my 10 minutes of fame. And I totally don't know what side to go on. Like, who's right, who's wrong? I don't know.
I just keep going back to like Law and Order ripped from the headlines. And it's like a modern day story that they tell their Law and Order story based off of. It's a fictionalized story of real events. Isn't that what this would be? I don't know. It might be the most accurate retelling of real life. But nobody knows. The whole thing is so confusing. The fuck? But it's a great show. You recommend watching it? Yeah. It's more of a thriller suspense thing, like Misery was. Yeah. All right. Good show. Well, Scott, that's everything. That's all I got for us today. I'm intrigued. Kind of want to go watch this now. I hope you do. We'll talk about it next week. Guy that sits behind me at work says, if you watch that, you're fucked up. Really? Yeah. If you watch Brain Damage, you're more fucked up. Yeah, just let them know there's levels to this thing, and you're nowhere near the fucked up level. You're not at the nth level yet, my friend. All right, man. Well, another good show. Thanks for bringing the story. Thanks for bringing the news. Always entertaining to me.
We only do this for ourselves, as we've talked about earlier.
I hope you learned something too. And if you did, tell a friend, get them listening. Let's get these numbers up. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Oh, Dorfman.